Morning, everybody. Wanted to apologize first thing. Normally, we would have a new audio drama out, and we've been working pretty hard on the third installment of the Cyberpunk series for those who've been enjoying the back and forth between the Dockers Union and the corporation who is doing their best to keep them under their boot heel. That is still coming, but we have had a lot of technical difficulties and a lot of issues. So, on that note, I wanted to do something a little more casual this week and bring folks up to date on something that is very interesting both for myself but also for the future of the channel. Now, for folks who aren't regular viewers, you might have missed about a month or so ago when I talked about this, but to bring everyone up to speed. Previously, YouTube had some rather tough guidelines to meet when it came to getting a channel monetized. For folks out there who don't know about this, you can't just start making videos on YouTube and start getting paid day one. You have to jump through a certain number of hoops and you have to meet a certain number of expectations before they will start sharing ad revenue with you. Up until that point, everything you make is pretty much only making money for them. And Azukail Games was not monetized. We're still not monetized, for the record. But you previously had to have 1,000 subscribers on your channel, which we still don't have, so subscribe if you haven't yet. And you needed to have 4,000 hours of watched content, which is about 11 hours and change a day for a year. And the 365 days is the limit you have. After that, it rolls over and doesn't count anymore, so you need to manage it within a certain time frame. Now, that changed about 6 weeks or so ago, I believe, and now you only need to have 500 subscribers, which we do have, though, the more the merrier, and you need to have 3,000 hours of watched content before they start sharing the money with you. That's about 8 hours and change a day, give or take. Now, at the time I made that previous video about a month ago, we had 800 some hours and change for the past year. Which isn't bad, but is less than we needed to have significantly for those who don't have a higher education and have trouble with math. But between then and now, we've made a lot of progress. We're at about 1,300 hours in the past year. And still less than half of what we need, but it is certainly an encouraging trend. And it is something I wanted to talk about, honestly, because it feels like we're on track to get the channel monetized. And when that happens, I would like to make some changes. I'd like to do some more stuff. I would like to increase the amount of just things we're doing overall, because it feels like if people are watching, if people are enjoying, that's something we should really try to capitalize on, give folks more reason to stick around and check out our content. And for folks who are wondering what I'm proposing, I figure I'll lay out some ideas. If there's something I don't mention, or if there's something that you think would be really good for the channel, would be really engaging for you as a viewer, by all means, leave it in the comments below. I'll see them, Adrian will see them, and hopefully we can give folks what they want. And last thing before we start, I've mentioned this previously, but not everybody watches every video, so in the event you haven't seen this before, there's occasional confusion. This is not my channel. I'm just a contributor, and I'm just helping out here. Nor is Azukail Games my company. I do not self-publish my own work. I do not self-publish my own videos here. I'm just the face. I'm helping out as best I can. Adrian Kennelly is the fellow who runs everything around here. But on that note, with that said, first things first I'd like to do with videos going forward, I didn't roll the big green monster out for this because I wanted things to be a little more casual this week. It's the same reason my mic's in the shot. But I have been messing around a bit with some green screen stuff. It's a lot more difficult than I was led to believe, but I've been making a little bit of progress. The issue is it's a thing for investment, both of time and of energy and of money. It's difficult to justify getting new equipment, putting in new hours, mastering new skills, when the thing you're doing it for doesn't actually pay you. And I would very much like to do that. I would like to at least give folks some more dynamic backgrounds to look at while I'm sitting here and holding forth about things. But that's a thing I would definitely like to do once we hit that monetization point. So if you're tired of looking at bland backgrounds as well, by all means, share our videos around, watch a playlist, listen to what I'm doing. Help us hit that mark sooner so I can justify doing that ASAP. In addition to that, and so that's more of an aesthetic change than anything else, I would like to bring some other creators onto the channel. I would like to talk to folks about their process, their work, particularly folks I've worked with or who have designed things for the same settings that I have. For folks who are familiar with them, this is not a guarantee, but I have been reaching out to a couple people who have expressed interest. Josh Heath is a fellow I've talked to in the past about this. For those who are familiar with my earlier World of Darkness work, the 100 Kinfolks project that I did for Werewolf the Apocalypse, he was the fellow I worked with on that. He's also an individual who has been an integral part of the team for my RPG Army Men that should be coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that if you're looking for a new type of game. But I've also talked to Clinton Boomer, again, for folks who are big fans of World of Darkness content that isn't made by Onyx Path or White Wolf. Check him out if you haven't. I highly recommend his work. But just getting more creators on the show, getting more opinions, getting a wider array of just how people do things, I think would be interesting and might provide some insight for folks who had questions or were curious about how other creators do things. And we might even be able to have some AMAs, some Q&As, get people asking us some questions to answer, and then we can just hold forth as we do. But in addition to those things, there's also the potential of new formats or different shows. At the moment, we have Speaking of Sundara, which is the regular show where I talk about my Sundara Dawn of a New Age RPG setting. It's currently out for Pathfinder Classic and D&D 5e. Check those episodes out if you haven't. They could definitely use some more love. We also have Discussions of Darkness, where I talk about the World and Chronicles of Darkness setting, how to run games in it, advice for players and storytellers alike, and that's proven pretty popular. I could always expand on that or get more specific. I could justify doing more involved content for that if folks wanted. And the third thing that I produce for the channel is my audio dramas, which are usually just little dramatizations of the intro fiction from my supplements. It's part of the reason there's so many of them. It's also why they tend to be so short. But that's what's currently on the roster. That's what's going out. But if we hit that monetization level, we could expand that to other stuff if folks wanted. Whether it's doing more mechanics-related content, if that's the thing folks want to see from me, whether it's expanding beyond to another sphere, if you want general gaming content, if you want to hear me talk about what it's like to get into the industry, if you want to hear more designer side things, if you want to follow along that kind of journey, I could give whatever advice I have for it, which may not be much, but I want to help folks the same way that I wish someone had helped me when I was starting out, and hopefully my advice is still good and the world hasn't moved on that much. But that's an idea. Another project that I had previously mentioned was doing longer form audio dramas, particularly in a podcast style format, if folks wanted to see something bigger, something more ambitious. The project I proposed previously, say that 3 times fast, was tentatively titled Windy City Shadows. It was going to be a Chronicles of Darkness season, and then after the first season, which I was going to set for Changeling the Lost, I was going to then see if folks wanted more Changeling, if they wanted to move into a different sphere, or if it turned out to not be something folks really wanted and I should move on to a different setting entirely. Either way, it would be a fully contained story, so you could listen to it by itself, or if folks did want more, it would act as the jumping off point for a larger series where you could explore more of that setting. But that's really just one option if folks really enjoy it. We've had a lot of different audio dramas, and they've kind of acted as a toe dip into the river of taste for what folks want to see more of. And I could also, if the audience wanted, do some stuff for a fantasy series instead of a modern fantasy series. I could do some stuff for Sundara. Folks seem to have enjoyed several of the shorts from that setting. Whether it's a bunch of short stories set in one of the cities we have, whether it's following a single protagonist or a party of protagonists as they accomplish their goals, that's a thing I could do as well. Or for folks who seem to really respond to it for some reason, it was more than I expected, honestly. The sci-fi audio dramas that I've done have currently the highest views of anything I've put out. So whether it's more of the giant mechs piloted by the Titan Sworn Knights, or the Knights of the Void in their power armor, if that's stuff folks want to see more of, I could put together a sci-fi audio drama. Whether it's following the characters and the organizations we've established thus far, or if we want to do something new and different and just sort of bring the various disparate elements together, that's also an option. And those are just some thoughts off the top of my head of things I'd like to expand, stuff I'd like to do differently, and really just what I want to do going forward. But again, if it's something that I didn't mention, please put it in the comments so that we can see it, so that we can consider it, and we can figure out how difficult it would be to manage. Lastly, before I close out for the week and then get back to work on fresh content for you all, if all of this sounds like something you want to help with, if you want to get us to the point where we're doing more ambitious stuff, where we can put in that time and energy and effort, we need help from you as our audience. And first and foremost, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It really helps our numbers and it helps the algorithm decide that we are a growing channel. We're currently at 778 and change, I believe, right now. Something like that. It changes every time I mention it, so don't hold me to it. But also, those hours are what we really need. And when your content's measured in minutes, it's really tough to get that amount of views. So if you have a video of ours that you really like or that you think is really neat, please share it around in your socials. If you have some chores to do, if you're commuting, put on a playlist. Let us be the background noise of your day. It may not seem like much, but a few hours here, a few hours there, throughout a week, throughout a month, it makes a big difference. And quite honestly, if even half the people currently subscribed to us just left on one of our playlists for a day, we would hit monetization by tomorrow. So everyone acting in concert, doing a little bit, makes a really big difference. But that's all that I have for this week. Next time I'll be a little more put together and a little less rambly. But hopefully I have some good news to share in the future and we can start those balls rolling. So until next time, happy gaming, everyone.